and we're here today with a redstone tutorial, or well, a Minecraft redstone tutorial. Today I'm just going to go over the very basics of redstone and casting it in Minecraft. So, first of all, this is mainly for people who don't know much about redstone or any about redstone, pretty much. I'm going to go over the very basics as well as the slightly complex. But anyway, so the button is an object thing that when pressed it gives out a redstone signal behind it, like so. You press the button and it gives you 15 redstone length worth of a pulse. So the 16th one won't have any activation and the 15th one will. The difference between a wood button and a stone button is that the wood button gives a relatively longer pulse than the stone button. Pretty obvious difference there. So depending on what you want, do you want short pulse or long pulse? That's what you would choose accordingly. So now onto pressure plates. A pressure plate does the same thing as a button, except it allows the redstone to be activated whenever an entity steps on top of the pressure plates. So, well actually it's not just an entity. For the stone pressure plates, it is any player and any mob that steps on top of it allows it to be activated. And with a wooden pressure plate, it allows players, mobs, and any thrown entity to be to activate the redstone behind it. As you can see, the stone pressure plate does not allow that. So that can help you with whatever you would want to do. And now the lever. The lever does same thing as a button does, except it allows it to be constantly activated, so you choose when it's on and off. And it gives the same signal strength. So next we're going to go over the golden pressure plate and the iron pressure plate. They are also called the weighted pressure plate light and the weighted pressure plate heavy. The difference between these two are the amount of items that are dropped upon it. So with the golden pressure, or the light weighted pressure plate, whenever you throw an item on it, it allows one redstone signal to be activated. Whenever you throw a second stack on top of it, it allows two of them to be activated. And when a third stack of items or an entity, a stack of items counts as one entity, so it could be like 3 players or 3 mobs or whatever, and that allows 3 signal strength and does not allow the 4th one to be triggered. So that's how that works. The heavy weighted pressure plate works the exact same way as the golden pressure plate. It allows entities or 1 stack of items or 3 zombies, or well, I mean 1 zombie would be 1 entity, but or 1 player and any entity whenever stepped on allows a signal to be played through the activate the redstone. But the difference between the heavy one and the light one is that it takes 11 stacks before it before it goes up to the second signal. 1 stack of items or 1 entity allows 1 signal to be sent out, but whenever you throw a second stack, you can see it doesn't activate it. So go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then you can see the second one is lit up. I'm not 100% certain about how far it goes, like I know that it takes 11 to go from the first one to the second one, but I'm not 100% certain if that stays consistent or if it's exponential or if it's just completely random. It could take another 20 stacks or something to go to the third one. I'm not 100% certain about that part, but it does take 11 to go from the first to the second. So the weighted pressure plate, the heavy weighted pressure plate, the difference, the point is that the difference is it takes multiple entities in order to go up a level in activation. And now onto the Redstone Torch and the Comparator as well as the repeater. This pressure plate will activate this redstone, which will be taken by this repeater, and one thing that a repeater can do is send it up to a block and over. So if you have, let me redo this for an example. if you have this, that's a horrible way. Okay, if you have this, then you have redstone, and then you have a signal here, it activates that. So it essentially skips over a block, makes an L shape. It does that, as well as whenever you place down a repeater, you have a signal strength of like 3 or so, or well, this is the first signal strength, full signal strength, 15, 14, 13, and then it goes into the repeater and becomes 15 right here again. So 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, yeah, and so on. And so that's what a repeater does. It rejuvenates the signal back into full strength. The Redstone Torch activates items, or whatever redstone thing that's above it, and if you have it like this, then it can do, then it can do that, or it can do that, or from any side really, and it works this way as well. So a redstone torch is turned off by sending another signal into the redstone torch. Now, for example, if you have this and you're trying to send a signal into it, it does not work. It just doesn't work. So you have to have it on a block above, which is why you would want sometimes to have this type of thing for whatever redstone thing you're doing. So if you wanted to turn it off whenever it's there, you would have to do it like that, and then have a signal going into it, and then it turns it off. And of course it doesn't really work this way, because this redstone signal is activating this piston here. But if you were to remove that, did this instead, then that would change. So it would turn it off, and then that would turn it back on. But anyway, if you were to have the redstone torch like this, well, I should probably make it flat, sorry. If you were to have it like this, and then you did have whatever it is above it, then the turning off the redstone signal would not work. So, yeah, that's that. But anyway, you send a signal into it, and it turns it off, or you keep no signal into it, and it's on. The comparator, on the other hand, takes the signal and pushes it out into the redstone in front of it. So if you have a comparator here, you have a signal strength of like 13 here, 15, 14, 13. It would take this, skip a block essentially, and then have a signal strength of 13 right here. So 12, 11, 10, 9. Or if you had a signal strength of 14 here, then that'd be 15, that'd be 14. Takes it into here and goes back to 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. So that's what the comparator, on compare mode. You switch it from compare mode to subtract mode by right clicking on it, and you can see through that diode that it's a different type of thing. But you can see here that this is signal strength 15, and or well, I put 1 here because that's the first signal strength, but I meant to say 15 here. But you have signal strength 15, and it's going into this block, and so it takes it and puts it to right here. And let me just throw an item on there to make it easier. And then it has the signal strength 15 here and sends it out through 15 different redstone pieces. This is the 14th one, so signal strength 2, and then 1 or the 15th redstone piece after the comparator, and so it's able to light up the thing in front of it. But if you go out 1 further, then it won't. So you know that it's sending out a signal strength of 15. But anyway, now subtraction mode, on the other hand, is a tad bit different. So there is 2 ways that you can put signals into a comparator. You can do it through compare mode or subtraction mode, and you send one, the primary one, so the main string, which goes right behind it and actually activate it. It won't work if you don't have a primary one. So here you have a signal strength of 15, 14, 13, and then here you have a signal strength of 15, 14, 13, 12, and then it goes and goes, it goes 15, 14, 13. It goes 13 out, so this is the 13th signal strength, or, I mean, it's the 13th redstone piece after the comparator. And so it takes the one behind it and still does the same thing as it usually does, but if this one is higher than the one behind it, it shuts itself off. So right now, it's at 12, and so this is 13. 13 is higher than 12, so it allows the 13 to continue by. But if I was to add one here, this would be signal strength 15 going into it, so it essentially overrides it and turns off the signal strength. Whenever you want to go into subtraction mode, you right-click the comparator, and what this does is allows the primary signal to go through and then be subtracted by the secondary signal, which you can do this from the other side as well. I think one of them eventually overrides the other if you have two of them, if you have both sides going, so it's better just to do one side at a time. So you have a signal strength of 15 right here, and you have a signal strength of 12 right here. So 15, 14, 13, 12, and then it takes it into there, and then it takes the primary one, 15, and does subtraction. It does 15 minus 12, and then sends out the answer, so the difference, so 3. 15 minus 12 is 3. So if you were to have a signal strength of 15 on both sides, it would enter out into 0, so it wouldn't send a signal. Or if you were to send a signal out into 14 and 15, it would send out a signal strength of 1. So 15 minus 14 is 1. That's how that works. Back into simple stuff. The pistons, this is a sticky piston here, and this is a normal piston here. A sticky piston, when activated from behind, it doesn't work if you activate it, well, it does work if you activate it from the side with the redstone torch. But if you activate it from the side with redstone, it doesn't shoot out into the sides. That's not how redstone works. But if you were to send a, I meant to fix that. If you send a signal into the sticky piston, it extends, and the same with this piston, with the normal piston, it extends and pushes whatever block is in front of it to the next block. Whenever you deactivate it, the sticky piston allows the block to be pulled back in, while the normal piston just leaves the block there. If you wanted to reset that, you could have a second piston on the other side and activate it and have it be pushed back. Alright, so this is the last thing of this tutorial, and I'm going to show you the block update detector. One simple one. This is a sticky piston right here, and it has a normal piston right here, as well as a redstone torch down here, which is deactivated by this redstone. And this redstone is activated by the redstone block, which is always activated. So whenever you place a block here, it allows an update behind or beside. It can be from any side of it, whether or not it's destroyed or placed, or if there's a furnace smelting and it gets done smelting, either way. So it updates the area around it. I'm not 100% certain why. It's just a weird thing that happens. It's always checking for an update, so whenever an update does happen, it pushes it because it's being activated by itself. It's really weird. I'm not 100% certain on how to explain it. You can probably find a better YouTube video for explaining this. But anyway, the main logistics of it is whenever an update is detected, it pushes forward, and then this redstone gets depowered, which allows this redstone torch to become powered. So whenever it updates, it pushes forward and then pulls back so fast that it doesn't actually take the redstone block with it. So this one gets activated and pushes the redstone block back to where it was, allowing it to become continue being block updated. So whenever it pushes this redstone block over here, it deactivates this one, which also deactivates the block update detection from behind it. So then it doesn't actually work if you don't have the thing pushing the redstone block back into it. So you can do a few things with this. You can determine whether or not a block is being updated, and based on that result, you can have some signal coming out of it. And for example, a melon farm. If you had a melon block, melon blocks are kind of confusing with this version of block update detection, because it's if you were to destroy the melon block, then it would create another update here, which would in turn cause it to destroy the melon block again, which would infinitely loop, and that's just confusing mess. But just for example, if you wanted to have, actually, probably a better example would be with the redstone lamp. If you wanted to have a signal of determining, I don't know what you would want here. Oh yeah, you could have a melon being grown here, and then you'll see a flash whenever the melon is grown. Now, of course, you'd probably want to put it to more practical means of a quick pulse than a redstone lamp being pulsed on and off by a melon, because who's going to be there to see that? But anyway, you'll come up with your own creative ideas for this. But anyway, it takes the signal out of here, and like before, it pushes the block update, causes the redstone block to be pushed, which deactivates this, which in turn reactivates this, and you can take a signal out of that and put it to whatever you would possibly need for it. Whether or not it's a secret trapdoor, actually, that's probably the better use for it. You have someone, I don't know what kind of house you have or something, but you could have a normal wall here or something, and you could have a pattern of this piston thing here across your wall or something. You can make it into your own design, but and then you have it secretly whenever you place a block here. It opens, has a piston open a hatch to down here, and of course you'd have to have your own way out and your own destruction of the block, and whatever you would use for it. It's just examples. Come up with your own things for it. But that's pretty much what it does. So that's all I'm going to go over today, and I hope this very basic redstone tutorial helped you in your journey through redstone.